Duncan Keith traded to the Edmonton Oilers for Caleb Jones and a 2022 third round pick, indicating that Duncan Keith had positive value on his contract. That is crazy to me.
But you're telling me, Parker, Chicago must have retained some salary, right? Otherwise, why would Edmonton do it? Chicago must have retained 50% of Duncan Keith's salary, and that's why Edmonton did it, right? Right?
Of course, yeah, because he has $5.5 million left for 2 more years. That's way too much money to be paying a 38, 39, 40-year-old defenseman who is clearly at the end of his playing career, riding off into the sunset. You'd think they'd have to take 50% back to at least get anything.
Of course.
But no, Ken Holland says that they wanted that salary. Give us the money. We want to spend all of our money and take on that cap hit because we want to defy the odds. This makes literally zero sense in my eyes. You can say, oh, well, Duncan Keith knows how to win. Yeah, when he was a way better player. Duncan Keith has all this playoff experience and leadership experience. Yeah, well, he won a cup like 6 years ago, but they haven't done anything since then. He hasn't made the playoffs. Like, what good is knowing how to win in the playoffs if you haven't won in the playoffs in 6 years? It's crazy to me. Look, the real money is next to nothing, I believe. It's literally, I think they're going to have to pay him $3.6 million in real dollars.
Yeah.
So if it's a penny pinching move, whatever. I guess you did great. But you're going to be paying this guy $11 million over the next 2 years, who, sure, he was technically Chicago's #1 defenseman this last year because he played like 22 minutes a night. That doesn't mean he was their best defenseman. I don't have the advanced stats up here, but like a 45% Corsi, 44.6 goals for percentage. Like he's not the player he used to be, right? He used to be this two-way force, a guy who could go in and put up, how many points did he have some years? Like 61 points in one season, 69 points in 2009, 2010. That's so good as a defenseman. Last year, 15 points. In 54 games. You're not getting that two-way value. This contract was signed back in literally 11 years ago. This contract was signed on December 3rd, 2009, because they were going to get so much value out of the first 7 years of this 13-year contract. And the end of it would be, we're gonna eat that because it's gonna give us a better chance to win Stanley Cups now. And it worked. But then they're still able to get value for him at the end of it. I don't get it. If I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan, I am so confused. If I'm Connor McDavid, I'm like, what are you doing? This isn't going to help us win. It's just a ridiculous move. Remember when Ken Holland was rumored to maybe be an option for the Canucks? To bring in like a year or two ago. Man, I don't know what else to say. It makes no sense.
Just imagine. It's not a perfect comparison or perfect analogy, but just imagine how elated we would be if we were able to trade Louis Eriksson, $6 million, $5.5 million, right? $6 million salary cap. And then we only owe him $3 or $4 million, or not even, because a lot of his cash has been paid out. And then we get like a third pairing D-man and a third round draft pick. We'd be over the moon. We'd be saying, no, this is make-believe land. This is fairy tale land.
We'd be over the moon if we only had to give up a third to get rid of Louis Eriksson, let alone get one.
Yes.
Because I think everyone looked at this Duncan Keith deal and said, look, if they're not retaining any salary, then they're going to have to give up a second round pick or something to get out of these last 2 years. Because $6 million, $5.5 million for a guy who literally has almost no value except for leadership and intangibles. It just doesn't make sense.
And it's just, it just, you kind of said it, leadership, intangibles, experience. We've seen it. People overpay for those type of things. They're important for sure. You can't, and I could see maybe maybe a big part of it was, hey, bring in another locker room leader for the McDavids, the Draisaitl's, the Yamamotos of the world, so they can have another veteran, but you're hurting your team by doing this. I don't get it either. I don't get it.
Yeah, and we got people saying free McDavid. McDavid has to ask for a trade at this point. McDavid wants out at this rate. It doesn't. If I'm McDavid, I'm like, look, I'm stuck here for another 5 years, 6 years, and I have a GM who values just overage leaders, which I mean that doesn't mean a lot at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
There's also a quote from Ken Holland about having to overpay a winger in free agency because like the winger market is at a high. So I think someone like a reporter asked him like, "Are you willing to overpay for a winger?" And he's like, "Absolutely, because it's what you have to do to get a player." And it's like,
wow,
you literally just said yes, we're going to overpay. It's like, okay, well maybe instead of seeing this market inefficiency that's going on and being like, well maybe we can exploit this. Maybe we have a winger who's overvalued by some other teams. Instead of being like, well, I guess we got to overpay to get one because that's what the market says. It's like, well you don't have to. Like you don't have to do what the market says. You can try to exploit it, try to find a better deal. I think, when you're in this old boys club of not good GMs going from, Chiarelli to Ken Holland, this is what they signed up for.
Yeah, I know a team that's got a couple of overpaid wingers, but I don't know if they'd be overvalued though. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, maybe we can get something for little Antoine Roussel. Maybe get a second round pick back. Look, he only makes $3 million, and it's only one more year. That's just such good salary efficiency.
That's a second round pick right there for sure.
Absolutely, I think Jim's got to get on the phone.
Yes, absolutely, I agree.
Anyways, I think that's all I really have to say about the Duncan Keith trade. It is a resounding win for Chicago, getting value and taking $11 million off the books. It is a win all around, and it's a win for the Canucks at the end of the day. Look, it's likely making the Edmonton Oilers worse because they could have used that $5.5 million to bring in 2 equally good players or 1 way better player. And instead, they bring in a 38-year-old Duncan Keith. I think he's 38. Oh, I don't want to do the math. It just tells me the year. 38. His 38th birthday is in 2 days.
Okay.
Happy
birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, happy birthday, Duncan Keith. Have fun in Edmonton.